My family moved to this small New England town about 20 years ago now. Mum, Dad, my 3 brothers, and myself. For whatever reason, my parents enrolled all 4 of us into a private Catholic school. We weren't particularly religious, but Mum thought it could give us a well-rounded education. The school included classical music lessons, courses in table manners, that kind of thing. My 2 older brothers blended well into their 4th and 6th grade classes fairly seamlessly, and my baby brother was adopted into the happy-go-lucky preschool classroom. As the small, mousy daughter of the family, I was left to fend for myself in the 2nd grade classroom. Need I say I hated it? I always had a creative, questioning nature, which didn't jibe well with the nature of this particular Catholic school, and in short order became the classic new kid, weird kid archetype. In that ill-fitting plaid smock dress, I felt like a little rabbit caged in with rageful Catholic tigers. Sparing you the details of my 2nd grade bullying woes, the school itself was interesting. It had once been a convent, naturally, before being converted into a small Catholic school, and had been built onto enough to hold 1 classroom apiece from pre-K to 12th grade, each class with roughly 25 or so students. Weird tragedies had befallen the student population as well as the teachers. A nun had drowned in the bathtub of the old convent, and a 1st grader had died falling off the playground equipment in the back many years previous. 2 of the 3 missing kid stories placed the child as a student there. Strange rumours plagued the student population since, and, as the new kid, my classmates were more than happy to fill my imaginative little head with tall tales. Hey, did anyone tell you how the janitor murders 1 student every year, and he hides the bodies? There's this guy who sneaks into the school every day during prayer and picks out 1 girl in the hallway. They call him the Raper. Nah, stupid. You're thinking of the rapist. You're stupid. You only call them rapists if they're gay. Clearly the student population of my particular Catholic school in the 90s was not the most intellectually gifted group. But I digress. One story stood out to me in particular for some reason. There was an old, rusted red swing set at the back of the playground near the woods, directly beneath the blank, gravelly space once home to the aforementioned equipment that killed a little girl. It was the oldest part of the playground, and, honestly, a bit gross. This particular part of New England is swampy in places, and that area became desperately muddy in the rainy spring season. The rumour was that, during mud season, if anyone sat at that swing and tried to push off, you'd be pulled down by something into the mud and never escape. Even now, I don't know why I fixated on that story, but it got in my head, and I spent many nights at the dinner table rambling off stories to my parents all about how various students had been caught by the mud thing. Obviously they thought it was ridiculous. Soon enough, spring came, and my troubles started. Girls in my class, and 3rd grade class, began their campaign to make me try and sit at the red swing and push off to see what happened. They tried for damn near a week before I gave in. It consumed my 7-year-old mind for some reason. Part of me knew it was just a silly schoolyard tale, but the other part needed proof. Desperately. Our school did recess in shifts. Preschool through 1st grade came in one shift, and 2nd grade through 5th in the next one. Older kids got an indoor break. So, one damp spring day, I found myself the centre of attention as a gaggle of girls led me to the red swing. The swing was pulled back from the muddy trench, and I was pushed down onto the rough plastic seat. I wrapped my hands around the gritty chains as I was released to dangle, feet first, over the trench. All eyes on me. "Push off!" a girl shouted as I stared beneath myself, frozen. "What are you waiting for, stupid? Do it! No turning back now!" Very quickly my audience descended into demanding taunts, and I dissolved into tears, realizing I had made a terrible mistake. I pulled my feet up as far as I could, and shook my head until my braids began to slap my own face. "What are you doing?" a voice yelled through the din, and I felt a shuddering relief wash through me when my 4th grade brother waded through the pack of girls. "Leave my sister alone!" "But the mud!" someone yelled. "We want to see if it gets her." "Let her alone, or I'm telling Sister Emery." A visible flinch passed through them at the mention of the often absent, yet aggressively ornery, playground attendant. Probably still sitting just inside the school doors, secretly reading a romance novel, at least according to the rumours. My brother continued to shoo off the girls, and my fears faded. I honestly believed it had merely been the drama of the moment that left me terrified, because even at 7 I shouldn't have believed in evil mud that sucks you down. It was dumb. I let go of the chain with one hand to take my brother's outreaching one, and did a little 1-2 hop over the muddy trench so as not to dirty my shoes. I missed. Now this is where you guys will call bullshit, where you won't believe the truth in the story, but as my small 2nd grade foot plopped into the trench, everything was fine for just a second. I didn't sink into the mud. No. Something grabbed my foot. All I remember was being whipped down to meet the ground faster than I thought possible, hearing a popping crunch and an indescribable pain in my hip. I shrieked out in pain and grasped at the gravel, not fully conscious of what was going on around me. Screaming. Pain. People calling for help. Pain. My brother yelling at someone to let go. To let her go. He wasn't in front of me anymore. Nothing was holding on to me anymore. The rest I don't remember myself, but has been drilled into my head by teachers, police, and my parents, in the ambulance, in the hospital, and at home. Teachers and the playground attendant heard screaming and ran towards us. Most of the girls were pale and shrieking and crying, and I was laying by the swing set, my leg covered in dirt and at an impossible angle. My big brother was gone. "What happened?" the teachers yelled. "It took him," the girls answered, pointing shaking fingers at the swing set. Of course, no adult believed that something, we never figured out what, reached out from the mud. No grown-up considered that something tried to pull me in, twisting my tiny leg out of the socket, shattering that side of my pelvis, and breaking my tibia into pieces like strands of uncooked spaghetti. No, not a single person besides myself and those girls believed that my brother got tugged down into the mud in my stead. All the questions in the world regarding that day never got an official answer. The assumption was that a child predator came out of the woods and abducted him. My injury was unrelated. No one was ever caught, though. As for me, I lost a leg. The damage was too extensive to be repaired. Every day I look down and hate myself because no one will ever believe how I lost it. They still think the event was so traumatic that I just can't remember it properly. My parents pulled us out of school the same year we started. They still hope my brother will come home, but I know better. The school closed a couple of years back. It's been abandoned, awaiting development. I watch the news just in case, still wanting to scratch the dull itch where a 7-year-old leg once was, to see if they find bones.